Fargo, North Dakota. It was considered the gateway to the West when Scandinavian pioneers first farmed the Red River Valley in the 1800s. Here, in his shop in Fargo, master woodworker Steve Revland carries on the Scandinavian tradition of building fine furniture. It's a craft his great-grandfather brought to the Red River Valley more than a century ago.
My great-grandfather was Isaac Strinden, and he was born in Norway and was a shipbuilder. And he homesteaded in the Minnesota Lake Country back in the early 1800s. And with him brought this huge milling machine that would mill lumber into floors and furnishings for himself and his neighbors.
Steve takes woodworking a step farther than his great-grandfather by moving past tradition into his own contemporary look. Steve is known for his exquisite veneer work and ingenious interlocking designs. His distinctive look is a mix of tradition and innovation.
I would say I specialize more in the conversation piece. Art Deco or contemporary, Scandinavian, I'm not sure really what it is, but it's what appeals to me.
Steve's trademark coffee table has been named after the Starship Enterprise by Star Trek fans.
It's a feel-good piece. I like to say that a lot. You know, that someone can have something in their home and walk into the room and it makes them feel good. That's how furnishings should be.
Today, Steve is assembling one of his limited edition signature chairs.
I don't make it a limited edition unless I have that good of a feeling about the piece.
Steve came up with the design 10 years ago by challenging himself to build a chair from the scraps of wood in his shop.
I started pivoting and holding boards together and experimenting with some dowels and some holes and started pivoting things, and all of a sudden that's when it popped into my head.
44 slats of walnut form the seat, backrest, and legs of the chair. The slats are held together without the use of a single nail.
The whole chair comes together by using threaded rods, 2 of these, and 3 interlocking ribs.
Steve mills all of the wooden parts by hand. The work demands precision and meticulous attention to detail.
Each little piece has to be looked at and inspected prior to using it, because once you start assembling it, there's no going back.
Steve laminates together several thin strips of walnut to make the last of the 3 ribs for the chair.
Seeing as it's going to be curved, you want the grain to run the same direction. So laminating these pieces together make it very strong. It keeps the chair together, really. Without the ribs, I'm afraid that maybe a year later, someone's going to sit on it and it's going to break.
Steve clamps the rib to a template to force it into the proper curve. When the glue is dry, he hand cuts the notches that lock the rib between the slats.
You know, if you've made the ribs properly, that it's all going to snap together.
If any of Steve's parts are off by just a fraction, it's apparent here in the assembly. Steve starts by threading one of the metal rods through the shorter slats to form the seat and front legs of the chair.
Now I'm ready to tilt it up.
He threads the second rod through the longer slats to make the back of the chair. When everything is in perfect position, Steve snaps the ribs between the slats.
Yes, okay.
Steve makes the chair even stronger by joining each slat to the rib with a small wooden dowel. With all the supports in place, the chair is ready to stand on its own, guaranteed to last.
There's really no other way of doing it if you want to make sure this chair is going to be around for a long time. So, interlocking rib, front, back, and top.
It's contemporary furniture that Steve is proud to add to the family tradition.
When I think about my great-grandfather, it makes it very gratifying to continue the work that I'm doing.
With his heritage in mind, Steve carries on the precision that is the hallmark of Scandinavian woodworking.